How many bass players does it take to screw in a light bulb? The answer is 1, 5. 1, 5. If you don't get that joke, this video is for you. What the hell are intervals? Hey guys, Little V here, and today I'm gonna help pass on some knowledge to my fellow guitar players. So I know plenty of guitar players out there who can shred, they can play their asses off. They are awesome players, but have absolutely no idea what they're playing. And that's not a specific shot or stab to anyone out there. I've just found that to be the case in most scenarios. So today, we're gonna talk about intervals, which will give you guys a nice little insight into how chords are built, and how to change up your chords, how to make them a little bit cooler, and just all around give you an understanding of how certain progressions work, how certain notes work in your scales, and that's just general knowledge like that. So first things first, what I want you to do is put down your guitar, and I want you to grab a pen and paper, and I just want you to draw out your neck and write down every individual note on your guitar neck. And don't just cheat and go grab something online. I want you specifically to do it so you can give yourself an understanding of where all the notes are on your guitar, because that is going to be the most helpful thing you could ever possibly do. And then when you're done, you can just tape it to a wall and have it as reference. I will wait. All done? Great. Alright, grab your guitar. Now, we're going to play a major scale in the Canadian key of A. So, major scale goes like this. A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, and A again. You can also hit 2 octaves real easy when playing in this position here. So the short answer to what intervals are they are every note in that scale we just played, starting from first interval, second interval, third interval, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and then up here would be the first technically again, or the eighth, but it's actually just the first note repeated. Pretty simple, right? So let's actually start building some chords with this now. So let's start with the most used and common chord in the guitar player's repertoire, the power chord. So the power chord is the first interval, which is A, the fifth interval, which is E, and then the first again, or the eighth, depending on how you're looking at it. And that makes a power chord. So power chords are pretty useful because they're neutral. They don't have a major voicing or a minor voicing. They're just a general chord that just kind of fits, which is why they're used so much. So let's get a little more advanced, shall we? Let's start throwing in some major and minor. So to get major or minor sounding chords, what you need to do is you need to include the third interval. So that would be that note. Now, of course, in this situation, we have both the first and the third note on the same string. So we're gonna now move it down here. This is where that whole guitar chart thing comes into play, so you can see where the next note is. So let's take a look at what this note is. And then C sharp. So where's the next C sharp? Up there, right? Because C would be here, C sharp would be here. So let's play it like that. First, third. That gives us a major sound. Add the fifth back in. There we go. Now if you want it to sound darker, or minor, you would take the third note, and you would flatten it, or go down a half step. And that gives you a minor chord. So we got major, which is much happier sounding. And then we have minor, which is much darker sounding. Now, there's a much easier way of playing that in terms of like this shape here and the whole bar shape, and that is to add it up here. So, what you do is... So your third's all the way up there, right? Because if we have here, starting from the 1 again. So we're gonna go... That gives us a major. And then if you flatten it, you just have to raise that finger up. By the way, to those who are beginner players and don't understand what I'm doing, I'm barring this, so I'm using this finger and I'm just running it across all of the 5th fret there. So kind of like a capo. Basically kind of like turning your finger into this, into your nut. So it's kind of like a capo, so you can build stuff around it. Alright, so that's with the third now. Now let's get a little bit more advanced, because I'm sure most of you are pretty bored and already know what all this stuff is. So let's do a 7th. So a 7th would be adding the 7th note of the scale, right? So what you're going to do is you're going to basically take, we're starting from that power chord position. You're going to take your 8th note, it down because that's where your 7th note is, right? So we're going to put that there, and then all of a sudden we have a major 7th. A little bit of a different sound. Now, that's not the most common 7th chord. The most common 7th chord is a dominant 7, and what that is you take the 7th and you flatten it just like you would with a 3rd. So that gives you this, right? Because here would be your 8th note, and there's your 7th, and then there's flat. So that would be your dominant. So this would be a 7. Still keeping up? Awesome. So let's try a 9 chord, and that would be, now this is of course where the intervals start getting a little bit tricky, when you start getting into 9s, 11s, 13s. It's not that tricky though, once you understand the trick. Basically a 9 is a 2, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 9 is basically just a 2, it's just you're going to play it higher up, right? So to do that, there's your 9, right? So you're gonna go, sorry. If you want it minor, once again, you raise up that finger. Now, to make it more confusing, there's also an add 9, and that's just a power chord where you just add the 9. Because the 9 will be here, right? And just do this. Which is one of my favorite chords. I love this chord so much. It just has a really cool voicing. In fact, you do that, you put some distortion into it, and you get really cool. So that's the basics of building chords as far as that goes. And the reason why I'm doing it in a bar chord shape and not like the farmer's chord shape is that it's really easy to just transpose this to any key. For example, if you want to do all this in G, you would just move down to your G, which would be your 3rd fret if you're following along with your little chart there, right? Major, minor, get that neck pick up again. Major, minor, major 7th, dominant 7th, 9, minor 9, and then your add 9, etc., so on and so forth. And there's 1,000 more types of chords and inversions and stuff, but we're just going to start with those just for funsies. So let's move on to intervals in chord progressions. So I'm sure at least 1 or 2 of you have heard the phrase 1, 5, 6, 4 chord progression, and basically that's not like fret number, that's the interval in the scale you're playing. So in this case that would be 1, A, then it would be 5, E, and then that would be 6, F sharp, and then it would be 4, D. So, this kind of requires a bit more knowledge of how a scale works, and chord-wise a scale goes major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, minor, major. So, the first chord is a major chord. The 5th chord is also a major chord. The 6th chord is a minor chord. And the 4th chord is a major. So, if we put those chords together, it sounds like this. I'm sure you've heard 1,000 times. That's pretty much the North American pop progression that everyone uses, because it's one of those if it ain't broke, don't fix it progressions. Let's make this a little bit cooler using those 7s and 9s we were talking about earlier. So, let's play a add 9 for the first chord. And then we'll do what should we do? We'll do just a major. So just E major. Minor 7 on the F sharp. Right, take that note. Do the dominant 7. And then we'll do a, yeah, we'll do a 9. We'll do a 9 down here. So to do a 9 on this, and how that works is this would be your flat. Like if you played that note there, that'd be your minor. Your minor 3rd, so your 3rd would be here. minor third, and then it'd be your second note, or your 9 in this case. So altogether we have A, and that's how you can change up your chord voicings and get cooler things like that. So, long and short of it is, intervals are the notes in your scale, and depending on what intervals you combine and what notes in the scale you combine, you can get different chord voicings and different sounds in your chords. So, if you guys like this kind of stuff, hit the like down below, leave a comment, and that'll let me know if you want me to continue this series or not. And just heads up though, I am not a shredder. So if you're looking for like crazy fast like shredding licks and stuff like that, I am unfortunately not the place to look. I've only been playing for 5 years. If you're looking for that kind of stuff though, I recommend checking out like Andy James or Rick Graham or, you know, Rob Chapman has a Chapman guitar. Fanboy. Anyways, I hope you now understand that bass joke, and rock on. Peace out. See you next time.